was it more?
Last night the answer was Minnesota, and the Gophers had the upper hand in a 3-2 win at North Dakota. Tonight they go for the sweep of the #2 team in the country. Welcome inside Ralph Engelstad Arena in Grand Forks, North Dakota with Casey Hankinson. I'm Anthony LaPanta, and Casey, last night it was very evident that Minnesota hit the ice with a purpose.
They came out flying the first 10 minutes. They controlled the game. And I tell you what, it's a big night in North Dakota when I was walking into the building and I see Neil Broughton and Dave Christian walking into the building.
Our Northland Ford goaltender matchup tonight. Kent Patterson, the winner last night, stopped 35 of 37 shots in the Minnesota goal. And on the other side, one of the league's best, sophomore Aaron Dell, second in the league in goals against, fourth in save percentage, with an impressive 15-5-1 record. Referees tonight, same as last night. Derek Shepard and Marco Hunt. They were busy last night as we saw each team whistled for 13 minor penalties. Nathan Freeman and Brian Novoleski, the assistant referees tonight. Don Lucia and the Gophers victorious last night. They had struggled in this building lately. Just 1-5-1 in the previous 7 prior to last night's victory. And Dave Hackstall in his 7th year as the head coach at North Dakota. Each of the first 6, he has brought the Sioux to the NCAA tournament. And we are just about ready for action. One of the interesting questions, Casey, all the physical play last night, the skirmish at the end of the second period. How long does it take for that to make its appearance here tonight?
Right when the puck gets dropped on center ice. I mean, Minnesota's thinking right now in that locker room, those leaders are saying, let's go aggressive, let's weather the storm. We know this line's coming out after us, but hey, we played great last night, let's keep it going.
And we're underway. The Gophers in maroon, the Sioux in white. Minnesota controlled play in the first period last night. We expect that the Fighting Sioux will hit the ice at full speed here in game 2. Blood walks in from the point, and a shot eludes Patterson that goes just wide. The Minnesota line combinations, same as last night. Up front, Cephas, Holla, Barabal, the undersized line for Minnesota, contributed 3 assists. One change on the blue line. Toronto's in the lineup tonight in place of the freshman Justin Hall. He'll skate with Kevin Weirs. The other pairings the same. Ness with Alt, Helgeson with Fairchild. Barabal to Cephas up the left wing. Cephas with a shot, and Dell kicks it aside. As you look at the North Dakota line combinations, Gregoire moves up to the second line. He skates with Knight and Hextall, the players with whom he skated last year. Marteau down now with Nelson and Christo. Same 6 defensemen, Blood and Genoway. The pairing to watch. Might be as good a defensive pairing as there is in the WCHA.
And early on here, watch the gray areas. The gray areas around the blue lines where both coaches want the players to get the puck in that zone and go on the forecheck. They don't want it to be turned over and go the other way. Watch the play around the blue line to get the puck in the zone and go after it.
Hextall fires wide, and the rebound all the way to the point. McWilliam holds the zone for North Dakota. Forbert pinches in from the far point. Knight up against the wall, tangles with Alt and centered it. A one-timer by Hextall was just wide. McWilliam in deep. Gregoire. Minnesota's able to clear. Forbert retreats through neutral ice and starts it back in transition, but his pass rink wide was behind Hextall, and it results in icing against North Dakota. Casey, let's set the McDonald's game plan.
Well, here's what they're going to need to do. Weather the storm early. They played great last night, but a veteran North Dakota team is going to come out all guns a-blazing, and they're going to be all over Minnesota. The other thing they're going to need to do is stay hungry. Don't be satisfied with the 2 points. This is going to be a turnaround series for Minnesota, and the only way to do that is to win tonight. And Kent Patterson has been the man in the net. He's certainly going to be with Kangas out for the rest of the year. And he's done nothing but show us that he's ready to play.
He makes his 7th consecutive start tonight for Minnesota. 35 shots, 35 saves on 37 shots last night in the series opener.
Early on here, North Dakota defensemen have been very active in moving the puck up ice and carrying it themselves.
Cristo around Weirs, but shot it wide. LaPointe keeps it in for North Dakota. Weirs will pick it up in the near corner. Ahead to Hansen. Hansen had a big power play goal for Minnesota last night. He was tied up from behind by Cristo as he tried to play it in.
And there's a gray area turnover we talked about. Instead of getting that puck in deep and going on the forecheck, now it's in Minnesota's zone. North Dakota has possession.
Lamoureux battling against the end wall. The Gophers come away with the puck. Sacchetti, who had the game winner last night for Minnesota, runs into a check from Blood at the North Dakota line and lost the puck. The Sioux bring it back in with Ronnie. Ronnie plays to the point for Blood. Across to getaway. A one-timer goes wide. Rebound controlled by the Gophers, and they're 4-on-2 at center. Sacchetti's pass for Serratori was just out of his reach, and it allows the Sioux a chance to catch up. Now they're 2-on-2 back the other way. Trailer might make it an odd man rush. Lamoureux fires. Save Patterson. Rebound trickles wide. Penalty coming against Minnesota. Lamoureux was tripped by Common behind the net. North Dakota goes on the power play with a chance to score first.
Well, and this is what Minnesota's got to watch out for, is make sure every person takes the player and sticks with them. Looked like there was a little confusion in the Minnesota zone. Great outlet pass by Blood. Puck gets going the other way. There's a man open that comes in here, gets a shot on net. Now there's a lot of looking around by Minnesota, and all they are forced to do is take a penalty. Here's another look, but everybody is going to the front of the net. Helgeson takes his man out in front, and unfortunately for Minnesota, there's a penalty on Nate Condon.
Condon for tripping. North Dakota 2 power play goals last night. Block shot by Hofel, and we pick up right where we left off last night with Mike Hofel going down in front of a shot to take away a scoring chance from the Sioux. Here's what we'll be talking about tonight. Looking back at great moments in a great rivalry. The Gophers and the Sioux. Minnesota used block shots to their advantage last night. And we'll break down the chances in the commitment area throughout the night tonight.
Here's a big face-off early for Minnesota. One thing they were very poor on last night was face-offs, 36%.
Loose puck. Patterson got a piece of one. He's still trying to get back to his feet as Minnesota clears the zone. Couple of very good scoring chances for North Dakota in the first 3.5 minutes tonight. They're on the power play.
Kent Patterson bailing him out early again. Sensational save, getting agile, pushing off the post and making that big save.
Cristo behind the net. Trupp around to the far point. Getaway watched by Barabal. Barabal poke checks it away and out the center. Frattin, who had his 8-game goal scoring streak snapped last night, the 4th longest streak in North Dakota history. Minnesota kept him off the score sheet. Helgeson through neutral, and Hopel drifted in offside. He'll have to retouch, and that allows North Dakota to regroup. Getaway through neutral. Gregoire carries it in, but Hopel's back checking to break it up. Couldn't get it out of the zone. Knight carries in across to Trupp, who walks to the outside. He's double teamed. Knight has it in the near corner to the point for Marteau. Marteau across to Hextall. He was harassed by Matson. Knight and Hopel tangle. Hopel ties him up. Sioux fans wanted a penalty. Matson for Minnesota with a half a minute in the North Dakota power play. Fairchild throws it in softly, and the Gophers change.
Yeah, good play there to get the puck in deep. Nice change by Minnesota.
You take a second look at that North Dakota scoring chance. Centering pass for Gregoire. Sacchetti wraps it all the way down for Minnesota. Just 10 seconds left in the North Dakota power play.
So Minnesota needs to do well tonight. Take the puck, send it all the way down the ice, make it tough for North Dakota to enter the zone.
Sacchetti fell. That resulted in a chance for Lamoureux. Now the Gophers ice the puck as they were back at full strength. Faceoff will come back in the Minnesota zone. But the Gopher penalty kill does the job early. Last night each team scored twice on 6 power play chances. North Dakota comes up empty on the first chance of the night.
Wow, and back to that Kent Patterson save. That was a huge save, very agile, mobile save by him. He's in the game, he's ready to go. That's been his strength right off the face-off, of opening face-off, to be ready.
He said last night after the game he liked having a couple of quick chances on North Dakota's first power play last night because it helped him get a feel for the game and gain some comfort in the crease area.
Well, and as a player, the goaltender, if you have a hot goaltender, you almost challenge the other team to score. When you're thinking on the bench, you're almost thinking, yeah, good luck scoring on our guy. He's a wall out there. We'll get their opportunities, but no one's going to score on our goaltender. And that's how Kent's playing. He's playing very, very well.
Ness to Bukestad. Tried to cut to the slot. Genoway poked it away. Bukestad battles for it. Up on top for Alt. His shot was blocked, and Malone starts the break for North Dakota the other way. 3-on-3 at the Gopher line. Frattin spun around by Alt and lost the puck. Trupp in the near corner. To the point for Blood. Blood holds the zone. His shot goes wide. Malone tried to redirect. Malone to Genoway. Frattin in the circle. Frattin shot blocked. Bukestad went down to get a piece of that one.
Ben Blood's been an impact player early on here. He's got very good hands for a 6'4", 6'5" defenseman. He's had the puck a lot tonight. Look for him and Genoway to have an improved performance. North
Dakota coaches felt like he was off his game early last night, but got better as the game progressed. He's picked up where he left off here in the first period tonight. Howla can't get it out of the zone on the far side. Now the Gophers do. Howla hustles after it. Lost the race to the puck. Simpson plays it back in for North Dakota. Fairchild digs it loose for the Gophers to Saratori. His pass out of the reach of Barabal. The Gophers have had some different combinations up front here in the first period. Penalty kill may have forced Don Lucia to juggle the lines a bit. Right now it's Barabal with Condon and Schmidt up front. Well, Schmidt has it at center for Barabal. Barabal into the slot. A shot goes wide. Weirs winds and fires. Pad save by Dell.
Minnesota, I'd say, is winning the emotional game right now. 8 minutes into it, playing solid. North Dakota winning the puck possession game. Have had the puck a lot. Had the puck in the Minnesota end quite a bit, but nothing real dangerous thus far except for the huge save by Patterson.
Weirs to center. Sacchetti has it for Minnesota. Tried to drop it to Condon, but that's intercepted, and Marteau brings it back the other way. Weirs back to pick it up. Gave it away behind the net. Toronto, who didn't play last night. The Gophers added him to the lineup. A little bit bigger and stronger than Justin Hall, the freshman who was in for the Gophers in last night's series opener.
And Justin Hall is a great player, phenomenal player, good offensive skill. But Toronto brings a nice present. He's very smart, really a poised player for not playing in many games this season. Very smart player.
Saratori takes a hit as he tried to center. Sioux get it out to center. Alt fires it right back in.
And that's okay to take those big hits. It gets you in the game early, but Saratori, and there he is finishing a hit again. He's not going to quit. It's good to come back at that and give a good effort.
Alt scores! Mark Alt fires one toward the goal from the blue line, and off the inside of the post, the freshman has Minnesota on top.
Well, that's the very first collegiate goal for Mark Alt from Creighton-Durham Hall. Puck gets put out. It looks like a little play that's not going to add to much. He just throws it on net, and Dell was screened in front by Forberg. Unfortunately, Dell didn't see that puck, went right in the net, and Mark Alt gets the Gophers with a 1-0 lead. And that goal is almost worth more than one. I don't know if you can give 1.5, but for a team to come out like Minnesota and get that lead again, gets North Dakota a little bit on their heels. They're going to keep coming, but it's a great start.
It's too bad we don't have a post-game instructional tonight, because I would love to see you demonstrate that shot that Mark Alt just made from the blue line.
Well, I could demonstrate the speed of it. That was about my speed.
Bukestad in for Minnesota. Hopeful fire, saved by Dell. Good chance for Minnesota.
Well, to get the chances is important right now. Minnesota needs to keep coming with those chances. Big turnover.
A turnover. Trupp scores, and we're even at 1.
Well, Well, that's where we talked a little bit of a gray area turnover. You're within 10 feet of your blue line. You need to get that puck out of the zone. You can't have Trupp come in there with a wide open breakaway. Ken Patterson does a great job standing up, but when you stand up as a goaltender, it leaves your 5-hole exposed. And Trupp, a very smart player, realizes that and equalizes the game for North Dakota.
Just seconds after Mark Alt had given Minnesota a lead, the Gophers had a great scoring chance with Bukestad and Hofel. It results in a turnover and a lone breakaway for Trupp. His answer comes just 34 seconds after the Alt goal. We are even 1-1 halfway through the first period.
Well, and that's where puck possession is so important. Making the plays at the blue line, get it out of your zone, just keep the chain going forward, trying to build momentum. Big hit by Jay Barabal. He's ready to compete.
Fairchild looking for a tip, and he got it, but it wound up just wide.
This line was very effective last night. Had a lot of the scoring chances for Minnesota. And what makes that line so effective is their speed and creativity. They really feed off each other. They're not big bodies, but they're very smart, have good hockey sense, and have a passion for the game.
Cristo for North Dakota. Turns it over. Schmidt for Minnesota rolls it in on the backhand, and Dell will cover. Mark Alt gave Minnesota a 1-0 lead, but just 34 seconds later, Trupp and the Sioux answer, and it's 1-1.
All right, here's what we talked about is the gray area. I'd say about 5 or 10 feet on this side and 5 or 10 feet on this side is a gray area where North Dakota wants to get the puck in. Minnesota wants to get it out, clear it, and run it until Nick Larson gets the puck. Seems like an innocent play, nothing really happening. Gets out, stop it right now. Now on your backhand, you got to either turn away with the puck and protect against the wall or get that puck out, hits the shin pad, next thing you know, tie game.
Last night, 5 goals were scored in the game. 4 of them were on the power play. All 5 had 2 assists. 15 different players on the score sheet. Tonight, we've had 2 even strength unassisted goals. One by Alt, one by Trupp. Patterson with a big stop for Minnesota. We are even at 1. Minnesota won the series opener last night. It snapped a 9-game unbeaten streak, a 7-game winning streak for North Dakota. Snapped Aaron Dell's 7-game win streak. Matt Frattin, as I mentioned earlier, had his 8-game goal scoring streak snapped. North Dakota also came in with a streak on their penalty kill. They had killed 20 consecutive opposing power plays, and Minnesota scored twice with the extra man last night. Condon forced to the outside.
It's a good shot by Aaron Ness. Couldn't get on net with someone in front of him, but decided to get it deep, put it in their zone.
Sacchetti behind the net. Condon bumped by Forbert. McWilliam throws Saratori to the ice, and here come the Sioux at center ice. Flipped in wide of the net by Rodwell, and Patterson hangs on. Face-off coming in the Minnesota zone. We've played just under 12 minutes. Minnesota and North Dakota tied at 1, and the shots just 5-4 in favor of Minnesota. The flow has felt much faster than that.
Yeah, it's been back and forth. A lot of neutral zone play. Oftentimes happens. Second game, you're still kind of feeling each other out. Everybody is so amped up, ready to go, and people are taking the body. They're playing physical very well and trying to refrain people from getting second chance opportunities or getting a second chance and holding up against the boards or taking the body.
Draw controlled by the Sioux. Hextall's shot goes wide. Corbin Knight with a nifty poke check. Got himself a chance. Patterson stopped that. Knight in behind the net for North Dakota. To the point that hops by Blood. Barabal gives chase, knocks Blood down from behind. Penalty coming against Jay Barabal. For good measure, he hammers Genoway too. And we get the whistle Cephas in to throw a little jab for good measure. Barabal, no excuse for this. Now Blood makes it look a lot worse than it is, but that's a no-brainer call for an official.
Yeah, not the smartest play at the blue line with the cross check to Ben Blood. Jay's been playing very hard so far in this game. He's brought an edge, but that's not going to help in this situation.
Now the officials discussing this. You could call this a cross check, but it also came from behind. And many times we've seen officials stray away from the checking from behind and go with the lesser call. This discussion might be, do we give him the checking from behind, which means a misconduct along with it.
I'd be shocked because of, well, you never know. But it wasn't around the boards. It wasn't a cross-check that could lead to possible injury. I think that's where the fear is when it's close to the boards, where there could be an injury because of it. But I'm going to guess it's a 2-minute minor for sportsman conduct, I'm going to guess. There's probably some chirping going back and forth.
Don Lucia now will get an explanation. Here's another look. Now,
I mean, that's a 2-minute penalty. It's a cross-check. I'm guessing that Jay said something to the official to get another 2 minutes.
Now, Barabal, after the delayed penalty was coming, did go throw a hit at Getaway, but that wasn't an illegal hit.
And Don has seemed to calm down, so I'm sure that's the explanation that has been given, but we'll find out here shortly.
At any rate, it is the second power play for North Dakota, and this one 4 minutes in length.
Well, Minnesota's got a real issue with their faceoffs. They were 36% last night, which is extremely difficult to give time and possession to North Dakota that often.
Here come the Gophers shorthanded. Hopeful fires just wide. Sioux back the other way. And it's a 5-on-2 rush. Getaway. Hopeful tied him up from behind just as he took the shot. Well, called it a cross-check and a trip against Barabal. So apparently the second minor was the hit on Getaway.
Well, what I like about this is a good aggressive attack on the penalty kill by Minnesota, but also Kate Fairchild jumped right back in the play to take the 3-on-2. Then Mike Hopeful is going to work his tail off to come back and at least try to disturb Getaway on the shot. Again, watch these face-offs. North Dakota seem to winning almost all of them. I know it's 36%, seems like about 10% that Minnesota's won.
Sure felt that way last night late in the game. Gregoire. Marteau. High in the slot. Simpson with a pass to Gregoire. His shot over the top of the net.
And look for the Minnesota defensemen to be more active on the sidewall presence for North Dakota. Talking to Coach Hill.
Larson with a block shot. It cost him his stick. Patterson pad save. Rebound, and Patterson stopped Knight.
Aaron Ness is going to get a penalty here, I believe, for cross-checking in front.
He is, and North Dakota will go 2 men up.
You know, this is where on the bench for Minnesota, you almost got to look forward to this and say, all right, here's our big test. This is where we're going to test ourselves and see how we do. Again, big save by Patterson to stay involved. Aaron Ness had the cross-check in front. 5-on-3 coming up here for 2 minutes. And 2:55 on the 5-on-4. But again, it's going to be the psyche of Minnesota. We're in a away building. We're in a hostile environment. Let's stay together as a team. Let's almost look forward to this and killing this off and lead on the big momentum after we kill it off. We got a goaltender that's going to save everything. Let's just get in the way.
Unfortunate timing because Minnesota had just gained control of the puck. They were about to get it out of the zone. But on the positive, if Hextall falls down that easily on contact for the rest of the night, it'll be a good thing for Minnesota.
2 forwards, 1 defenseman out there for Minnesota right now.
Patterson with a save and covers the rebound with Bukestad there.
He is just so solid, Ken Patterson. I mean, I don't know if we're going to see a replay here or not, but he stayed right on that post. Tried to go upstairs, North Dakota did, to try to short side him, see if Patterson was cheating. He stayed right on his post, made the save. Justin Johnson, the goaltending coach, I'm sure has worked well with these guys. Very good goaltender in Minnesota. And Kent's done a great job. Now Bukestad without a stick.
We lost it in the faceoff circle. Bukestad, Hopeful, Fairchild, the killers for Minnesota. Big save, Patterson. Hopeful's able to clear.
The key on this 5-on-3 is a lot of changes if you can for Minnesota. Fresh bodies, stay active.
Howla has taken the spot of Bukestad, who lost his stick. Getaway, score! Malone!
Well, that's where Getaway is so good and where his vision is so good. Minnesota did a nice job, but two guys overcommitted. I don't know if you can roll that back. Maybe we'll get another look, but there's two overcommitment right here by Minnesota, leaves Malone wide open, and there's just no chance for Patterson to get that shot. Plays the angle well. Sometimes on the 5-on-3, you want to be so active, so over-aggressive, you put yourself out of position. That's what North Dakota is looking for, is try to get somebody out of position, and they did, and have a 2-1 lead.
Now there's discussion as to which player Minnesota gets back. Typically, you'd get the man who went in the box first, but the problem is he has more time remaining on his penalty than the man who followed him.
Well, and unfortunate for Minnesota with Ness in the box. That's one of the defensemen that they carry on.
Now this remains a 5-on-3 because of the fact that Barabal was a double minor. Now he should have just 2 minutes left. He does. He loses the 15 seconds that were remaining on his first penalty. So now it's exactly 2 minutes for Barabal. It's still 5-on-3 for a minute 15 for North Dakota. He had 15 seconds remaining on his first minor. Had it been under 2 minutes, Minnesota would have had a player back.
Getaway here likes to walk the line, likes to have somebody overcommit.
Patterson with a save. Cristo to Getaway. Getaway cannot hold the zone, and Matson picks his pocket. Matson shorthanded for Minnesota. Fanned on it as Frattin knocks him down, and it's 5-on-2 the other way. Trupp for North Dakota. Drops it back to Cristo. Back for Trupp. Centered it. Broken up. Cristo on the backhand. Shot it wide. 30 seconds in the two-man advantage. Getaway high in the slot. Frattin with it. Frattin walks in. Fires. Saved by Patterson. Rebound clear to the line. Getaway gloves and drops. 20 seconds in the two-man. Frattin high in the slot, a shot, pad save, Patterson. Rebound goes to the corner. Malone there for the Sioux. Malone spins to the slot, drops it back to Getaway. Getaway threw it to the weak side for Trupp. 5 seconds in the two-man. Trupp high in the slot. Ness is back. Minnesota's one-man short. Malone has it poke checked away by Matson, and it's a shorthanded opportunity for Ness. He'll just play it all the way down. Gophers make a change. 30 seconds left in the North Dakota power play.
Minnesota very fortunate there. They stretched themselves out a little bit too far, but North Dakota not able to capitalize.
Long shot stopped by Patterson. Gregoire in behind. 10 seconds in the power play. Knight in the corner. Up to the point for Simpson. Simpson watched by Sacchetti. 2 seconds in the power play. Knight with it. Barabal's back. The Gophers are at full strength. And all things considered, just one power play goal for North Dakota. Probably a good thing for the Gophers. Barabal hits center ice to Sacchetti. Sacchetti bobbled it. Simpson starts back for North Dakota. Simpson from center plays it into the Gopher zone. Gregoire drops it back for Hextall. Hextall's pass off the mark, but picked up by Forbert. A shot that was blocked. Ness went down to block it for Minnesota. Cephas starts out. Cephas bobbles the puck in his own zone. Drops it back for Alt. Alt to the left wing, looking for Howla. He's in check. Cephas picks it up. Cephas works his way around McWilliam. McWilliam throws him down behind the net. Cephas back on it. Crisscrosses with Howla, who runs into McWilliam. Forbert for North Dakota with less than 3 minutes to go. North Dakota now with a 16-5 edge in shots on goal. They had 11 shots on that sequence of 3 penalties against Minnesota.
You know, Minnesota's got trapped a little bit right now with their aggressiveness. I mentioned Trent Yanni on the telecast last night. He's the assistant coach now for the San Jose Sharks, but aggressiveness can be a weakness if it's over-aggressive, and Minnesota is over-aggressive right now.
Penalty coming against North Dakota. Barabal was hit behind the play by Rodwell, and Minnesota will get their first power play chance of the night. North Dakota leading 2-1 late in the first.
Here's what we're talking a little bit about. Minnesota's got to be careful. Watch this pack of players right here. As the play rolls on, all 3 of these players are going to be focused on one puck carrier, which is going to leave this wide open area of the ice. Roll it. Stop. See all these 3 players? They're all down low. This does no good up here. Here is the scoring area right here, which leaves a wide open lane right down Main Street, as they call it.
And North Dakota does a great job getting the puck deep on their zone entry and then finding those trailers into the zone. Minnesota on the power play for the first time tonight. They were 2 for 6 last night. Fairchild shot deflects wide. Bukestad to Fairchild to Schmidt. Fairchild. Schmidt, a one-timer. Hopeful got a piece of it. And it was stopped by Dell.
Interesting, Nate Schmidt on the power play.
We saw time on the power play and the penalty kill last night as a defenseman, even though he's in the lineup as a left wing.
Well, I think Don has a lot of trust in him, feels like he does the right thing, makes the right decisions. And when a player has a lot of trust, that means more playing time.
And he can shoot the puck. Fairchild to Bukestad. Bukestad's shot was blocked. Trupp comes away with it for North Dakota. Trupp shorthanded at center, works with McWilliam and brings McWilliam in offside. Minute 7 left in the Gopher power play. Twins fans, log on to foxsportsnorth.com. Click on the Get Well Harmon banner to send your well wishes to Harmon Killebrew. If you're attending Twins Fest, you can sign the giant Get Well card that's on display.
Shots right now, North Dakota fighting Sioux 16, Minnesota Golden Gophers 5.
But 12 of those 16 North Dakota shots came on the power play. I think it was much more even than that at 5-on-5.
But that's where the big line of Malone, Trupp, and Frattin, that's where they build their confidence, their scoring ability. They get their time and space, and when they have time and space, that's a dangerous, dangerous line.
45 seconds in the Minnesota power play. Barabal starts it out. Ness at center ice. Hit by Frattin. Hansen relays it in. Blood watched by Cephas. Genoway. Hansen throws a check. Genoway's on the puck quickly and carries it out for North Dakota.
And just going back to that.
Here's a shorthanded chance for Gregoire. He's tripped. Ness will get his second penalty of the night, and the Minnesota power play comes to an end.
A lot of these penalties, a lot of the issues, if you want to call them, what the first period Minnesota had, it's really out of position. It's getting caught out of position and then having to react to it. And against a good, fast-skating Minnesota team, it's tough to do that in a good way. Now here's another opportunity for the big line to come out for North Dakota. And when you think back to the Brian Bonins or the Thomas Vaneks, the good players at the University of Minnesota, what they want to do, similar to this line, is they want to touch the puck a lot. They want to feel it. They want to have the ability to try to do different things with the puck, read the goaltender. Now you've got 4-on-4.
4 skaters aside for the next 10 seconds, and then North Dakota goes on the power play. Simpson to Trupp. Knocked off his stick by Helgeson. Helgeson thought he was going to pin it to the wall, but did not. The Sioux on the power play. Centering pass for Malone, just out of his reach. Cristo with it. Far circle, now to the point, and Simpson has it. Simpson to Cristo. 5 seconds in the period. A one-timer and a save by Patterson. Malone, just as the buzzer sounds, threw it across the crease area. Patterson was there for Minnesota. He was solid in the first period, and Minnesota needed him because North Dakota fires 17 shots at the Gopher goal in the opening period. Marty Gellner will visit with freshman defenseman Jake Paranto, who experiences this rivalry for the first time. We'll look back at some of the great moments in the rivalry and have highlights from the first period. All coming next on our first intermission show after one in Grand Forks. North Dakota 2, Minnesota 1. Gopher Hockey on Fox Sports North is brought to you by CHS, resources for enriching lives. And by CCM Hockey, get your fit on.
After one period in Grand Forks, it's 2-1 North Dakota leading Minnesota. Freshman defenseman Jake Ferranto joins us now. Jake, you did not play in this game last night, in the series last night. What is it like out there tonight?
Oh man, it's undescribable. I can't even explain it out there. It's the biggest rivalry I've ever been part of, and just to be out on the ice with all the boys, I can't even explain it.
You know North Dakota ranked number 2, pretty potent on its home ice, a big physical team. Defensively, what is the best way to slow this team down?
The body, just go on, dump the puck and hit. It's all about body. They take the body. They're great at it, and if we do it, we'll keep right in there with them and keep battling.
Jake, thanks a lot. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you. Jake
Ferranto joins us after his first period of the Sioux Gofer rivalry here in Grand Forks. Coming up next, we'll talk more about this storied rival after this. Minnesota scored first, but North Dakota answered back twice. It's now a 2-1 Fighting Sioux lead over the Golden Gophers after one period. I'm Marnie Gellner back at Ralph Engelstad Arena. This is one of the best rivalries in all of college hockey. Between Minnesota and North Dakota, there's so much history and tradition, and the feelings run deep. This week, we asked the Golden Gophers about their rivalry with North Dakota.
Two programs with great tradition. Obviously, you go back through time. Great coaches, great players, and great fan support, and it's a border, and I think all those things come together to make it a great rivalry.
Everybody probably remembers the Final Five. 2007, I think it was. It was my freshman year when Blake Wheeler had that, diving goal and kind of chipped it over the goalie's head. So that was, a crazy moment at the XL Center, and that's probably the one thing that I'll remember a lot here at the U.
There have been some fantastic finishes. This is the one Jay Barabal was talking about. Blake Wheeler at the WCHA Final Five in St. Paul to lift Minnesota over North Dakota in overtime. That was a 3-2 Golden Gophers win. That was also the score here last night. But right now, the Gophers are down by 1 after one period. We'll show you those first period highlights and stats after this.
2-1 North Dakota after one. It's a big rivalry weekend here in Grand Forks. It's also, big rivalry weekends in the NFL, and it's.
Oh, come on!
I'm surprised you're able to squeeze in some TV work. You had a big game tomorrow against the Jets.
Oh, goodness sakes! Well, you can see he's about at least 2 inches taller than me because he's got to be standing on his wallet.
About the same. You guys, I think, have about the same contract, don't you?
Oh, goodness.
First period here in Grand Forks. Mark Alt scored for Minnesota.
Great goal for Mark Alt. First career goal from goal for goal. One of many, we hope, and a nice way for them to start. However, the tide turned awfully quickly. 5-hole here goal. It's a big goal for them because they responded right away for North Dakota, got right back into the game. And then here we go with Che Genoway overcommitting from Golden Gophers right back to Malone for the 2-1 lead. Could have been a lot worse than that. If I'm Don Lucia, I'm awfully hot between periods right now.
First period stats brought to you by CHS. North Dakota in the midst of their 5th power play of the game. They have 1:16 remaining. 17-5 edge in shots, but 13 of those came on the power play. Second period faceoff next.
Dakota 2, Minnesota 1 after one period. And before we start the second, assistant coach for North Dakota, Carrie Eads, joins us. Same story as last night where Minnesota scores first, but this time you guys answer back with a couple quick ones in the first.
Yeah, a lot better first period for us, Marnie. We're really happy, but coming out with the lead, spotted 2 to the Gophers last night. It was too big of a hole to climb out of, but good 20 minutes, and as we mentioned last night, it's going to take 60. We've got a power play here to start the second period. Hopefully we can capitalize and build from there.
All right, good luck to you, Coach.
Thank you very much.
Assistant coach Carrie Eads, Anthony and Casey.
Marnie, the North Dakota staff felt that last night was one of the most entertaining hockey games they had seen their team play all year long. Great flow to the game, and they have to be thrilled with the fact that they've had the upper hand here through 20 minutes tonight. Malone out to the point. Frattin with it. Cristo tried to get a return pass, but it was intercepted by Fairchild. Frattin, 40 in the power play. Matson got a stick on it. Genoway's shot blocked. He's able to hold the zone before Larson could get it out. Frattin throws one off the glass. Half a minute in the power play, and Minnesota's able to clear. Shorthanded chance for Larson. He tangles with Malone, who takes him down, and a penalty coming against Malone that will bring to an end the North Dakota power play. All things considered, Minnesota's penalty kill has been good tonight. North Dakota just 1 for 5 with a man advantage. Casey, they spent 6 minutes and 9 seconds on the power play in the first period. A full 2 minutes of that with a 2-man advantage.
Yeah, it's tough. You get out of the flow there, but really a great play by Nick Larson. Had a huge block early, and then it's just a great individual effort. He knows he's not going to get a shot. He had somebody hanging on him from about the blue line, but he stayed with it. He didn't dive, but he embellished it as much as he could. North Dakota has to take him down, and that's a great opportunity for Minnesota to go on 4-on-4 and then in the power play in 22 seconds. And I mentioned earlier Don Lucia being hot. You know, Minnesota set the bar really high last night with their effort. A lot of their problems came from positioning. Positioning you can control, and Minnesota was just overcommitting in that first period. And also some penalties that were were ill-advised.
Now Minnesota's on the power play for the second time. Did not score on their first. Weir's with it. To the corner for Haula. Ness at the near point. To Hansen at the half wall. Hansen to Ness. And it was poke-checked away by Gregoire just enough to escape the zone. Gophers in transition, but Hansen bobbled the pass. Cephas knocked down just inside the line. It's a short-handed breakaway for Gregoire. Gregoire alone against Patterson. Pad saved by the Gopher goaltender.
Great save by Patterson. Started from a gray area turnover from Minnesota.
Cephas back for Minnesota. Drops to Ness. Still 45 in the power play. Hansen bobbles a pass, and the Gophers have to retouch. Haula waiting, then has his pocket picked by Trupp. He had to wait until his teammates got out of the zone. North Dakota clears. Ness is back. 2-on-1 shorthanded. Frattin fires over the top of the goal. Rebound all the way out to center. McWilliam for Blood. 20 seconds in the power play as he fires it in. Patterson behind the goal. Cephas starts out for Minnesota. Gophers finally gain control of the offensive zone. Bukestad to Cephas, a shot. Pad saved by Dell. First and only shot for Minnesota on that power play.
Well, Minnesota is playing an east-west game. What that means is they're going laterally. They're not getting the puck going forward like they did so well last night and on the attack. There, Nate Condon does a great job to get it into the zone, and that's what they need to do more of. It sounds simple, but Nate Condon attacks the zone 1-on-4, gets the puck deep, goes after it, forechecks, takes it low to high, meaning he's at the goal line, throws it out to his defensive partner, shoots it on net. And this was a turnover that Minnesota had. Gregoire in. He was real effective with the goal last night. Patterson makes a big save with his left pad. And here's the shot right at the head of Dell from Fairchild. Ideally, you want to get that puck down so you have a good chance to get a second chance, third chance with the shot on the pads.
Play in the North Dakota zone.
North Dakota defense doing a very good job at containing the Minnesota forwards to the outside, not allowing them to take the puck to the net.
Even strength right now. At even strength this weekend, Minnesota has been very competitive through 2 periods tonight. North Dakota had outshot them by only 2 at even strength, but had an edge of 28-10 in power play shots on goal.
Minnesota needs to establish a forecheck like they did last night. Take care of their neutral zone, get the puck going forward, stay up front. It's a nice job there by Kevin Weirs to keep the play in front of him.
Fox Sports North supports coaching boys into men. Rough play on the ice may be part of hockey, but violence in the home needs to be stopped. Teaching the fundamentals of the game, don't forget to include the fundamentals of respectful relationships. For resources, check out foxsportsnorth.com and click on the Fox Sports North Supports banner.
Coaching boys into men, Don Lucia calls this series a series for men. Hasn't been the physical battle that we thought early on. Good fundamental physical, but not the highlight reel hits thus far.
But a series where it's more than just throwing hits. It's responding to adversity. It's responding to a challenge. And here Minnesota will get another power play chance. And you may hear the displeasure on the part of the North Dakota side.
Yeah, hopefully your kids went to bed. Didn't hear that. A lot of stick infractions. Another stick infraction, a cross check. A little bit unusual with how hard fought last night's game was. But a little chippiness thus far. And Minnesota goes back on the power play with Bukestad big body, Hopeful big body, Nate Condon big body. The ideal here, keep it simple, get the puck to the defenseman, get it on net, go for second and third scoring opportunities.
North Dakota wins another draw even when shorthanded. It's interesting talking with assistant coach John Hill. So much of winning faceoffs is not just the centerman, it's the wings supporting. And when you're on the power play, you can't afford to allow a team that's shorthanded to get an extra man to a puck when the faceoff win is not clean.
Well, in the faceoff, it's a real focus on your intensity because it's a one-on-one battle right from the start. And Minnesota just hasn't been very effective at all on the faceoffs. Another thing they haven't been effective on right now is outmanning the opponent on the power play.
Haven't been good with the puck either. Minute 15 left in this man advantage. Minnesota's had trouble completing passes here in the first 5 minutes of the second period.
Now granted, there's two teams on the ice, so obviously North Dakota very well game planned, trying to disrupt Minnesota. But Minnesota needs to find a way to fight through it. They're still 2-1. They still got a great opportunity here with a minute left on the power play. Just need to get some shots on goal.
Condon goes rink wide to Hansen. Hansen, Hopeful, rolls the backhander out front. Hansen fired wide. Still 40 seconds in the power play. To the line, but not out. Fairchild keeps it in. Hopeful's the first man there. Hopeful circling. Schmidt winds and fires. It was partially blocked and goes wide.
You know, I'm just not seeing any presence in front of the net out of Minnesota right now. Those last two opportunities, 2 or 3 North Dakota white jerseys, maroon and gold to the side. Maroon and gold to the side is not going to get you back into this game.
19 seconds in the power play. They did have one good chance here with Hansen.
Yeah, Hansen does a great job at stopping right there if we can. And we can't extend this out, but there is nobody in this area. 2 North Dakota players, 1 Minnesota on the side of the net. Clear it. They come in eventually, but it's too late at that point. They've got to be in there right away, disrupting things. As Ken Patterson says, anything he sees, he's going to stop. Well, the same thing for Dell. He's a high-quality goalie. You've got to distract him. You've got to get in his crease. You've got to disrupt his ability to see the puck.
Gopher power play about to come to an end. Ness hustles after it. Ronnie's back. We're 5 skaters aside. Just 1 shot for Minnesota on the power play. They're now 0 for 3. Difference in the game. 1 North Dakota power play goal. It came with a 2-man advantage in the first period. Broke a 1-1 tie. That's where we stand. 2-1 Fighting Sioux as they try to salvage a split at home after Minnesota took the series opener 3-2 last night.
There, Dylan Simpson did a nice job to get the puck out of the zone. Again, North Dakota has been much better tonight. Their defensemen have taken the puck themselves and creating opportunities from their defensive zone.
Weirs for Minnesota. Looking for Cephas at center ice, but it hit a skate, winds up in the corner. LaPointe carries out for North Dakota. Howla and Hextall collide there. Weirs looking all the way across ice. It's intercepted. Christo brings it back in. Poke checked away by Weirs. He and Christo collide in the corner, and Howla picks it up for the Gophers. Fair a ball for Cephas at center. Cephas and Howla 2-on-2 at the North Dakota line. And Howla winds up offside. Cephas takes a hit, doesn't like it. Tempers flare. And that's nothing new in this rivalry between the Gophers and the Fighting Sioux. Get all your high school hockey action with the Fox Sports Prep Zone presented by Wells Fargo. Log on to foxsportsnorth.com. You can click on the Prep Zone link and watch 4 live streams of high school hockey games, including these matchups this week. Hopkins, Minnetonka, Holy Angels, Eden Prairie, Red Wing, Farmington, Creek-Durham Hall, Stillwater. That's every Thursday night at 7 o'clock throughout the high school hockey season. Coincidental roughing penalties against Weirs and Gregoire. No power play results, but we are 4 skaters aside. Last night, as we mentioned earlier, we saw plenty of physical play between these teams. And the result, 13 minor penalties called against each team. We're not at that point yet tonight, but so far, 6 have been called against Minnesota, 4 against North Dakota.
Well, it'll be interesting to see here on this 4-on-4 who takes advantage of it. 4-on-4 is all about puck support, trying to 2-on-1 players on the ice. What that means is you try to have somebody overcommit and try to get a 2-on-1 scoring chance where it's 2 North Dakota against 1 Minnesota or vice versa. And the advantage probably has to go to North Dakota so far.
Malone centers, and a one-timer by Marto went wide. Genoway was heading off on a change, and that allows Minnesota to gain control. Paranto runs through one check, lost the puck. Christo has it just roll off of his stick. North Dakota's so confident that they can be aggressive on the Gophers with the puck. It's as if they know somebody else will pick up for them. Minnesota seems more tentative.
Well, North Dakota, very mature team, senior team, weren't happy losing at home last night. Very, very tough loss for them. They've got a lot of pride in their sweater and have played like it tonight. They've been on a mission thus far.
Christo in the circle. To LaPointe. Bukestad chips it off the glass, but not out of the zone. This is 4-on-4, not a North Dakota power play, but the coincidentals to Weirs and Gregoire expire, and we are now back at 5 skaters aside. Face-off coming in the Minnesota zone. Just about halfway through the game, and Dave Hackstall's team is on top by a score of 2-1. Fans, you can email us Car Soup questions at carsoup.com/hockey. Tonight, Erica in Chisago Lakes wants to know what your favorite North Dakota-Minnesota rivalry moment is. What do you think?
Well, I was thinking the one I gave last night was the Ben Hankinson, Dave Hackstall, but I'm going to go to the Blake Wheeler or, you know, who's in attendance tonight, Neil Broughton, his big-time goal in the NCAA. It's pretty tough to beat that one.
And that came against Dave Christian.
Came against Dave Christian from Warroad, Minnesota. Hockeytown, USA, they say, is in Detroit, but the real one is in Warroad, Minnesota.
And you don't think that one felt a little sweeter to Neil? Not only was it Minnesota over North Dakota, it was Rosso over Warroad in the national championship game.
Absolutely. You'd love to have a seat in between those. Of course, Dave Christian, University of North Dakota, and an uncle to Brock Nelson, number 29 for North Dakota.
Christian family was so instrumental in starting the hockey program here at North Dakota.
Yeah, and they take a lot of pride in their sweater. Matt Henderson, a player that I was fortunate enough to play with after college, who was a captain here in '97 when they won it. Even alumni watching the game last night were very displeased with the performance. And that's the kind of mentality North Dakota has. Very tough, competitive team. We've seen it so far in the first half of the second period here tonight, yet Minnesota's still in the game very much with 2-1. Just need more shots on net, need to generate some more offense.
Helgeson has his shot blocked by LaPointe. for all the activity we've seen here in the second period, we've only seen 4 shots on goal. 3 by Minnesota, 1 by North Dakota.
Yeah, penalties have the when you get a lot of penalties, the flow of the game kind of erodes. It's kind of a bit of a choppy game, and that's what we've seen thus far.
Couple turnovers in a row right there, and a long shot by Fairchild goes wide. Fighting Sioux ice the puck, and we'll get a face-off back in their zone. Well, we've been talking a little bit about it. How about looking back in video form to 1979, Neil Broughton with one of the signature goals in Gopher history.
Well, Neil Broughton is just, I mean, he is Minnesota hockey. There's no question for the fans that got to see him play at the University of Minnesota in all those years with the Minnesota North Stars. Just such a classy, humble individual. And going back to the choppiness, what happens and why it gets so choppy is you got a lot of players for Minnesota, North Dakota that aren't on the power play or penalty kill. You never get into a true rhythm of the game, spend a lot of time on the bench, and don't feel like you're fully into the game because they're not getting a lot of repetitions.
Cephas. Toronto with a one-timer. Who's tipped on the way and winds up wide. Sacchetti bangs with Rodwell on the far wall. Cephas fighting through a check, couldn't hold the zone. North Dakota brings it back the other way. Nelson forced to the outside. And Minnesota's been much better 5-on-5 than even on the power play. It just seems that on the power play they've had trouble completing passes. They've been much more efficient when at even strength.
Yeah, the intensity has not been there on the power play. We talked a little bit earlier, a little bit of an east-west game. Need to get the puck going forward, have players driving to the net. There's a good example. Buke said just getting the puck on net, try to create something.
Schmidt's shot was blocked, and the Sioux are 3-on-3 the other way. Centering pass for Frattin, and his deflection snared by Patterson. North Dakota continues to lead in their quest for a split, 2-1. 2-1 North Dakota. Past the halfway point of the middle period, our Grand Casino story of the game. Mark Alt with his first career goal for Minnesota. Trupp scored less than a half a minute later for North Dakota to tie it. They added a 5-on-3 goal by Malone. Power play shots 13-2 in favor of North Dakota. At even strength, it's 7-7.
Well, one of the guys that stood out thus far last night and tonight has been Brad Malone. He's a physical presence. He's brought his determination, and he's also been on the score sheet. He had 6 shots last night. He's been very good for North Dakota. Very solid leadership from him in this series.
Baraball for Minnesota. Tries to work around Blood, and that forced him in offside. And a face-off at neutral ice. Last night's game saw 66 shots on goal. A 37-29 edge for North Dakota. Minnesota had 12 in the first period. Here tonight, they've played more than a period and a half and have only 9.
Well, we got a little bit of a line shuffle here with Hofel, Halla, and Baraball back together. Could be come with some penalties. Could be just to change it up a little bit, try to get some chemistry, try to get some more opportunities, some scoring chances.
These three skated together for a big part of the first half this season. Last night, Don Lucia put Jacob Cephas on this line rather than Hopel, paired Hopel with Bukestad and Larson in hopes of getting a more physical line combination. Howla dumps it in for Minnesota.
And what you want is scoring chances. If you're a goal scorer, you can't control if you're going to score or not, but what you can try to control is the scoring chances. And then when you get worried is when you're not getting those chances. You want a good 3 to 5 chances a time. Here's one coming up.
Bukestad to Cephas, who fires, and a save by Dell. Nifty stick handling by Bukestad created the scoring chance. 2-on-2 the other way. Genoway as it poked away by Ness. Hansen races in for Minnesota. Hansen with Cephas in the slot. A shot saved by Dell. Hansen plays to the point. It was out of the reach of Ness. Alt dumps it back in. Everybody was talking about the big collision between Alt and Frattin last night that sent Alt reeling through the air. We get a whistle.
Well, here's a 2-on-1 that comes. I like Jacob Cephas going to the net. It's kind of a pass off the pads. Dell does a nice job of kicking it out, but Jake Hansen was trying to just get the puck on net, trying to create a scoring opportunity. And it's just momentum that you're trying to build at this time. We've talked about a bit of a choppy game. But let's start getting chances, You can't control if you score or not, but get chances, get second opportunities. We talked about last night, hard work is contagious. I haven't seen a hard-working Minnesota team out there. Could be because of penalties, but every line that goes over the boards has got to set the example for the next one. Before you know it, you're on a little bit of wave, feel better about yourself, and hopefully goals will start coming. And we got Hofa, Paula, and Condon on the ice. Nate Condon's had a very good freshman season for Minnesota so far. He's actually one of only 3 Wisconsin-born players who played at Minnesota.
Now we get the North Dakota player to the penalty box. For a long delay, the door was open, but nobody was taking their spot in the box. Ronnie's now there, and Minnesota goes on the power play. They are 0 for 3.
And the first thing they got to look to here is just work. Let's keep it simple. Outwork the opponent. You're 5 on 4 already, but outwork them. North Dakota comes with a very aggressive physical style. As you see Trupp making a hit and coming right back.
Gophers have been a good power play team this year and were good last night, but tonight they have looked ragged on all 3 power play chances.
There just hasn't been the chemistry there. It hasn't been the working together.
Baraball fires one off the crossbar and deflects out of play. Minnesota coming into tonight 23% on the power play, which is 5th best in the conference, but 0 for 3 and only 2 shots.
Why, what I really like about that play, Jay Baraball had the puck, lots of poise, waits till Mike Hofel crosses in front, and there you got a great look at it. Hofel just skating in front, makes it tough for Dell to see, goes right off the crossbar and out of the arena. But they're getting closer, need to keep getting the chances.
Fairchild tipped by Hansen, no goal, waved off immediately. As they say, it was played by a high stick. Derek Shepard, the official, right there, and waved it off instantly. It'll bring the face-off all the way down in the Minnesota zone.
I'd like to get a look at it here. Looks like it was a little bit high. And what I mean is high is over the crossbar. If you touch the puck over the crossbar with your stick, it's a high stick, and that looked like it was clearly over the crossbar. Get a better look at it there. Goal did not go in, but they got to build off it. That's exactly what they want to do. Get the shot from the point. There it is, just higher than the crossbar. But Jake Hansen in the absolute right spot and had a nice tip.
Had a power play goal for Minnesota last night. Fairchild brings it in. Lost it as he goes to the corner, but gets it back. Gregoire for North Dakota up the right wing. 3-on-2 shorthanded at center. Gregoire forced outside by Bukestad. Threw one off the side of the net. Bukestad dumps him in the corner, and the Gophers dig it loose. 40 seconds in the power play. This Minnesota's 4th chance tonight. Cephas. Schmidt. Back to Cephas. To Schmidt, who walks to the slot, winds and fires. It's tipped. Gopher player went down in the crease, and we get a whistle. Another jab thrown at Kevin Weirs. Boy, for whatever reason, he's been on the short end of more than just a couple skirmishes in this series, and this time somebody stands up for him as Frattin took a right cross to Kevin Weirs.
Well, this will be interesting because Ben Blood should have had a penalty in front for knocking over Minnesota, and then he went and grabbed the player from Minnesota. There's it right there. There's 2 shots right there. That absolutely should have been a penalty. And then he goes in after and grabs it. He gets away with one right here. You'll see him grab Cephas if they show it.
Frattin throws a right cross at Kevin Weirs, and there's another.
Here's Blood right here.
Right. Now, Blood should have had a penalty out front to begin with, as he took Bukestad down. Now it looks like there will be an extra penalty called against North Dakota. There are, or will there? It looks like maybe 3 on each side. Minnesota was already on a power play.
Well, and we got some jarring going back and forth between McWilliam on the North Dakota bench. And we've only got 25 minutes in regulation here, and this is starting to heat up like we thought it would.
And now last night, remember when everything happened at the end of the second period, they called an extra penalty on Minnesota ruling that Jacob Cephas flying in with a slash was what started everything. If that's the case, then this should clearly be an extra one against Blood.
You know, I think it should be. You try to keep a very neutral, open eye. Ben Blood, they missed the penalty on him. Certainly, refereeing is a tough job. There's a lot of other things that could have been missed in this period. But Ben Blood certainly went in there and I believe instigated some other things there. He's a great player, great physical presence, and you know that is his job at North Dakota. That's what he needs to do to be effective.
Well, they have taken Frattin out of the penalty box. Apparently, if you throw a couple of right crosses, they negate each other. Jay Baraball asking for an explanation, and they have not put any penalty time on the board, but there are 3 Gophers in the box and only 2 members of the Fighting Sioux, so that would lead you to believe that Minnesota's going to be short. One of those 3 was already there. Ronnie was already there serving the too many men on the ice penalty.
Ron, I don't blame Don. He's trying to get an explanation right now, but this is a huge point in the game. 4 minutes left. Minnesota has had nice momentum building. Disallowed goal. They've been doing all the right things lately. This would have been a great opportunity for them to be on the power play, but you're on the road. You got to weather the storm. You got to keep going forward.
Now they've taken a Gopher player out of the box as well, so apparently they'll just call 2 on each side, and Minnesota will maintain their power play. Now Hansen has just come from the penalty box, but on the score sheet they have Hansen listed as one of the guilty parties here.
Well, Jake Hansen is going to be a guy that I think if this Minnesota team is going to continue to succeed in the second half, is going to bring a lot of energy and goal scoring to that team. Very competitive kid out of White Bear High School. Hard-nosed kid. Has had a pretty good career here at Minnesota, but I see him as a guy that can score some more goals for Minnesota. Hard-working kid. And he's going to be a leader that needs to take care of the second half for Minnesota.
Two-minute minors for roughing against each side. Ronnie's back. The too many men on the ice penalty has expired. We're at 5 aside. Fairchild whipped it across to Baraball. Now Howla and hopeful dig. Baraball has it in the corner. Centered it all the way through to the near half board. Fairchild in behind the net. Howla tied up by McWilliams. Baraball with it, high in the slot, plays to Fairchild. Fairchild, long shot saved by Dell. Rebound goes to the corner. Howla there for Minnesota. Baraball tried to play it to the point, but it deflects off a stick and over the head of Fairchild. Just over 3 minutes remaining in the second period. North Dakota maintaining a 1-goal lead. Minnesota's power play still 0 for on the night. 0 for 4 and only 2 shots in over 7 minutes of power play time.
Got to take advantage of that extra attacker, especially when on a night we don't feel it as much. Puck isn't really going Minnesota's way. They're not creating their own opportunities. Need to take advantage of some of these power plays. You don't know how many more you're going to get, especially in a tight checking third period.
Weir's fanned on a puck at neutral ice. Ness there to cover up for Minnesota. Protects the puck well and leads the breakout. Condon at center for Minnesota. Into the North Dakota zone, throws it off the end wall. Sacchetti's on it quickly for the Gophers.
That's the type of entry Minnesota needs. The short passes, they're supporting each other. Supporting means having a guy coming.
One-timer by Ness, gloved and held by Dell. And we get a whistle. Late second period, North Dakota still leading by 1. Last night in the WCHA, Michigan Tech and St. Lawrence played to a tie. Duluth shut out Wisconsin. Bemidji State and Omaha played to a 2-2 tie. Denver and Minnesota State tied at 4, and Anchorage beat Colorado College. So here's a look at the WCHA standings. Minnesota, Duluth, and North Dakota now even at the top, and look at how tight. Denver and Omaha each within 2 points of the lead. Minnesota right now in 5th place, tied with Colorado College. The top 6 will get a first-round home series in the WCHA playoffs.
Look for Ness and all to play a lot the last part of this game, and also Genoway and Blood.
Cephas tried to center. Cephas now paired with Hansen and Bukestad on this line for Minnesota.
The reason I say watch for them is because both of those pairings have a very offensive player in Ness and Genoway and a defensive orientated in Alt and Blood. And what that does is it allows the offensive player, Ness and Genoway, to roam a little bit more freely, take those chances, get up ice, because they know their defensive partner, in the case of Alt for Minnesota, Blood for North Dakota, is going to stay back, stay in front of the net. And by having a pair like that, it allows more creativity offensively from Ness and Genoway.
Minute and a half left in the second period, and the way the flow of the game is felt, Minnesota's fortunate to be down just one. Hextall tied up by Ness, and more jabbing. Mark Alt jumping in. He's not afraid to stand up for a teammate, and Gophers are showing a little resiliency here late in the second period.
I do like it. They're good. They played good team-oriented hockey for the most part. And what you said, Anthony, is if I'm North Dakota, I'm a little bit concerned that Minnesota is still in this game. With all the opportunities they've had, they've certainly taken the play towards Minnesota. And I'm a little nervous that they haven't spread the game apart as a North Dakota fan or watching this game with North Dakota interest.
Baraball plays it out to center. McWilliam fires it back in. At the same time, Minnesota is going to have to find a way to generate some offense. They have only 12 shots through 39 minutes. And their only goal was what you'd have to label a fluke shot by Mark Alt from the blue line. Gregoire. Final minute of the second period. Gregoire through neutral ice for North Dakota.
You say fluke, but when Mark Alt remembers that goal, it's going to be a breakaway from one end to the other. He's not going to remember that.
Or just an absolute cannon
That's
from
right.
the blue line.
That's right.
Went in the upper corner.
It did go in the upper corner. He'd certainly be a lot happier to remember it with a Golden Gopher win.
There's a chance for Minnesota. 2-on-2, maybe 3-on-2 at the North Dakota line. Blood tackles Sacchetti.
And that's going to be the goal of this line, this fourth line with Saratori, Condon, and Sacchetti, is to build momentum with the forecheck. Get the puck in deep, try to build that momentum, try to build the good teamwork, good hard work going forward so it's contagious.
Paranto behind the net. 10 seconds to go. Saratori tips it, but it deflects out of play. Coming up in our second intermission, we'll take a look at some of the best outdoor rinks and tell you how you can enter yours for a chance to have Doug Wu come and skate on your rink. Marty Gellner will visit with Che Genoway, the career scoring leader among active WCHA defensemen, and we'll have highlights from the second period coming up in 6.1 seconds.
Another draw won by North Dakota.
Long shot, gloved by Patterson. Does the smart thing to throw it to the corner and avoid a whistle. And again, Malone is tangling with a Gopher player. He and Ness exchanging greetings at the side of the Minnesota goal.
Is there any chance Ken Patterson can take draws?
I don't know. His hands look quicker there than some of the Gopher centermen we've seen here tonight. 2-1 North Dakota after two. Barney Gellner with Che Genoway next. Gopher Hockey on Fox Sports North is brought to you by McDonald's. Get a 20-piece Chicken McNugget for just $4.99. I'm loving it. By Dodge Ram. Award-winning Ram trucks, plus a new heavy duty. Make it one of the most powerful lineups in history. And by North Dakota Tourism. Legendary.
After two periods at Ralph Engelstad Arena, it's a 2-1 North Dakota lead over Minnesota. Senior Che Genoway joins us now. Che, last night's game up and down. Offensive chances for both teams tonight. It's a little bit choppier. The flow isn't there. What's the biggest difference, do you think?
No, you're right. It's been a bit of a sloppy game. A lot of neutral zone play. I think everyone's playing some pretty good defense. There's been a lot of turnovers in the neutral zone. Neither team has really established a forecheck or gotten the puck deep very much. So I don't know what's the cause of that, but neither team's been overly sharp. It's definitely been a lot different game than last night.
The one thing that is the same is the intensity. You've been part of this rivalry as a senior. You've seen North Dakota, Minnesota many times. What does this Sioux Gofer rivalry mean to you?
Yeah, it's definitely fun. This might be the last chance. You never know if we'll meet them down the road, so definitely trying to make the most of it. It's been definitely fun playing these guys. It's a special time when we meet them. Definitely North Dakota fans and Minnesota fans, you can tell, get up for it. So.
We've seen some memorable ones. Thanks a lot, Shay.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Shay Genoway, senior for the Fighting Sioux there. When we come back, we'll show you how you can have Doug Woog in your backyard after this.
Gopher Hockey on Fox Sports North is brought to you by North Dakota Tourism. Legendary.
Before we start the third period, Minnesota assistant coach John Hill joins us. John, stats and all of those numbers seem to be one-sided in favor of North Dakota. Yet it's a one-goal game out there. You guys are knocking on the door. How can you come back here in the third?
Well, we probably need to play with a little more urgency. You know, the first period, the shots were skewed because of all the power play time they had. We had some power play opportunities in the second period. We didn't really generate much offense. However, we felt as the period wore on, we played with more urgency. And if someone would have told us on Thursday that we'd win on Friday and we'd be going into the third period down by a goal, we would have gladly taken it. So for some reason, we've been able to hang around, and a lot of it's probably due to Kent Patterson's play. He's given us a chance, and now it's up to us to go and get it done. And all it takes is one shot, and we've got to stay aggressive. We can't look to counter. We need to take the attack to them, and we believe we've got the intestinal fortitude to do that.
Coach, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Guys?
We'll find out if they do. Let's take a look at what happened in the second period. No scoring for either team, but as John Hill mentioned, Kent Patterson might have been the best player on the ice.
Yeah, there's no question. He has been the go-to guy, if you will, for Minnesota. But they need to find a go-to guy on the forward presence or defenseman. There's Jake Hansen with the no goal, which was unfortunate for Minnesota, but the right call by the referee. And here we get at the end, we get into a battle where we're going to see more of it here in the third period.
Second period stats brought to you by Menards. We'll see if we remain even. Minnesota has yet to score on the power play. Will they get another chance? They trail by one. Minutes remaining here in Grand Forks, and Minnesota needs a couple of goals to complete a sweep of the Fighting Sioux. With Casey Hankinson, I'm Anthony LaPanta. Another edition in this great college hockey rivalry, and let's answer a couple of your Toyota text questions. You can always send them to 234-234, and we'll start with John right here in East Grand Forks, who wants to know if you think this is the Gophers' top rival.
Great question. There's so many good ones. Wisconsin's a tough one. Duluth's a tough one. But North Dakota seems to bring out the most emotion, at least as of late. So I would say yes, it is.
A lot of teams that would label Minnesota as their biggest rival.
Yes.
I think St. Cloud would, Duluth perhaps, Minnesota State.
Well, we're fortunate enough here to have a third period, a one-goal game, great rivalry, Minnesota on the road. Let's see their character, how they respond in this period.
North Dakota with a 21-12 edge in shots on goal. That was 7-4 in Minnesota's favor during a scoreless and sluggish second period. Fairchild for Minnesota works to the outside, throws it at the net with one hand. Good rush by Fairchild. Cepas, a one-timer saved by Dell. And if the first 30 seconds are any indication, the Gophers look ready to attack in this final period.
Well, in that locker room, they're saying to themselves, guys, we're down 2-1, we're on the road, we're in North Dakota, we know we can play better. That's the good news. The tough news is the urgency, the work ethic, that's not a switch you turn on and off. They haven't had it yet in the first and second period thus far. It's improved in the second period. But this team, the leaders of this team, need to step up in this third period, stay on the puck, and I hate to keep harping on it, but start winning some face-offs. Those are little things, but little things add up in a game that is this tight.
Face-offs have been an issue for Minnesota throughout this entire series. Tonight they've been a little closer. They've won 15 of 39. Hoefel tried to play it to Ness. It was deflected and comes out of the zone. Alt, who scored Minnesota's only goal back in the first period. A goal that was answered in just 34 seconds by North Dakota's Evan Trupp. Ness. Through neutral ice, it's fired in by McWilliam. Last night, Minnesota was playing in front for most of the game, had a 2-0 lead. North Dakota tied it before the Gophers won it on a late power play goal by Nico Sacchetti. Tonight, the Gophers on the short end. The 3-on-2 rush. Matson has his shot blocked by Simpson.
This might sound like an obvious statement, but just based on what I've seen here tonight, obviously this next goal is huge. There's no question about it. But if North Dakota gets it, it's going to be really tough for Minnesota to bounce back. I just have not seen the urgency, as Coach Hill mentioned, between periods in their game. So if they're down 3-1, they haven't had a lot of opportunities. It's going to be very difficult to come back.
Minnesota's been more efficient defensively tonight than they were last night. But I agree with you, offensively there just hasn't been much jump for a Gopher team that last night showed some spurts of the highly skilled hockey team that they can be.
Well,
as
we talked about it earlier, they set the bar last night. We know how they can play. Now it's the mentality, now it's the drive, now it's the determination to bring them back to that level, to continue to play that every night. There's a Minnesota player getting out-willed, out-battled by North Dakota.
Sacchetti carries out of the zone for Minnesota. Got it ahead to Larson. Larson fires it in. Blood back to play it. Schmidt, first man on the puck for Minnesota, to Larson in the corner. Left it behind, but nobody home. Lamoureux. Zone held by Schmidt. And then Larson fires it in. It's on goal. Dell steers it to the corner. Lamoureux flips it in from the Minnesota blue line. Alt tried to poke it out of the zone. Bukestad to the far side. Lamoureux plays it to the point. The long one steered aside by Patterson. McWilliam holds the zone on the near side. Trupp with it. Centered, and it just eluded Ronnie in the slot.
At the same time, this is a road game for Minnesota. You don't always have to play pretty, but it's about the results. Minnesota trying to find a way to win, and it's going to be on the forecheck if they're going to get it done.
Cephas brings it in, looking for Hansen. He was tied up by McWilliam. Bukestad to Cephas. Cephas walks through the slot. Gave it to Ness, whose pass was behind Alt. Alt wraps it in, but Minnesota will have to retouch. Last night, the Gophers talked about getting pucks on the net. There, they may have made one too many passes.
Yeah, it's really simple, especially in this third period. And I say simple, not simple to do, but simple in theory. Get the puck on net, attack it, try to outman them, create your own opportunities.
Malone hits the Gopher line, works his way around Hofel. Patterson poke checks it away as Hofel crashes into the net. And we'll face it off in the Minnesota zone. Fans, you can help determine the Arby's value player of the game. Text to short code 234234. Keyword value, then a space, then the jersey number of the Gopher player that you think has provided the most value tonight in our postgame show. We'll give you the Arby's value player of the game. Minnesota's not going to be allowed to change here, as Hofel took the net off, apparently willingly.
Well, and again, they're sticking with this line, Don, is with Hofel, Halla, and Bearable. I thought last night Cephas, Bearable, and Halla was their best line, but they're going to go with what they've been successful, at least this line anyway, early on in the first half of the season, trying to keep it together. What that means is Big Mike Hofel's got to be going to the net. Jay Bearable's got to create, and Halla as well.
Rears off the glass, kicked into the zone by Halla. Nope, apparently Halla missed it, and it'll be icing against Minnesota. It was a big rivalry weekend for the Minnesota women's hockey team, as they did battle with Minnesota Duluth. Last night tied them 2-2, and this afternoon blanked the Bulldogs 3-0.
Kind of a quiet feeling right now in this building with 12,000 North Dakota faithful. Not a lot of spunk, not a lot of activity.
They were louder when they were outside in the 10 below weather. Here's a deflection and a goal.
Well, Minnesota had an early one in the first game with Alt's goal that found its way to the net. This one does the same for North Dakota. The reason for it is there's bodies in front of the net. Again, another draw that Minnesota loses. Shot to the net. Two North Dakota players. Actually does a nice job to get the puck on net. And good things happen when you go to the areas in front. And it's going to be awfully tough for Minnesota to play now. It's been a reactive game for Minnesota. 2 more goals to get back in this game. Start with 1 and build from there.
Hextall just threw it toward the net. Something and a point that we were just making, that Minnesota seems to be passing on some shooting opportunities.
Well,
as an example of something that can happen with a less than pretty shot attempt. Helgeson tees it up and fires. It was blocked by Hextall on the way. Helgeson holds the zone, fires one over the top of the net. Matson centers. Saratori could not redirect. And the Sioux able to clear. This will not be icing as it's on goal. Patterson sends it all the way back down the other way, and that will be icing.
Well,
they credit Knight with the goal, saying that he was the man who deflected it out front of it. It may have gone off the back of the Gopher defenseman.
Well, Knight did a good job by staying in front, at least trying to make a swipe at the puck. But what is so disappointing about this game is the face-offs. I don't want to keep bringing it up, but these are things that can be controlled. Here's another one. These are little areas where Minnesota needs to improve, and it's a will factor. Face-offs are important team perspective, where, like you said, Anthony, earlier on, you got to get help from your wingers. There's no question about it. But if you're going to get help from your wingers, you got to tie up the opponent's stick.
Saratori to Sacchetti, and then a good shot by Schmidt goes over the top of the goal.
Minnesota with a good buzz right now, trying to keep it in their zone. The urgency must be here in these coming minutes.
Alt from center ice fires it on goal, knocked down by Dell. And this again will not be icing as Patterson has to throw the paddle down. Alt for Ness behind the net. Minnesota now down by 2 in their quest for a sweep of the Fighting Sioux. Blood back in his own zone. Ness across for Alt. Dell stops it back of the net, leaves it for Blood.
Again, North Dakota doing a great job of getting the puck out of the zone. I think that's been a huge difference maker for the Fighting Sioux, is the ability to get the puck out of their zone, and a little bit of a lack of forecheck by Minnesota, or good puck placement.
Weirs rides Ronnie off the puck. Lamoureux bumped by Weirs behind the net. Genoway watched by Bukestad. Genoway spins away, cuts to the slot. Bukestad tried to poke it off his stick, couldn't, and Lamoureux fanned on it. Nifty move by Bukestad to gain control.
And that's how we saw him score earlier. Genoway with walking the line, drawing the opponent, and throwing it back to Malone. Almost another chance there for them. And North Dakota certainly has got the ice sheet flipped in their favor. Lots of good opportunities for them in the last couple minutes.
Frattin. McWilliam had his shot blocked.
Smart play there by Malone not to touch it. Keeps play alive. Minnesota, if he touches that puck, it's a face-off all the way down the other end.
To the point, Forbert's shot was blocked on the way. Gophers battling but can't get it out. Finally, Barabal gains control. Hits Hopeful. Hopeful at neutral ice. Had to sidestep a Malone check and lost the puck. Helgeson in his own end. Errant pass through neutral ice. Malone back for North Dakota. Sends Frattin into the zone. Frattin's shot goes wide. Trupp in deep. Frattin back to Trupp. His shot was blocked by Fairchild.
Even watching the speed that Minnesota players are getting off the bench going into the play, watching the speed of the North Dakota players getting off the bench going into the play, it's a lot quicker from the North Dakota bench right now.
Matson played it to a point. Nobody home for Minnesota. Ness. Now Condon throws it wide. Down to 11 and a half to go. Minnesota down by 2 goals. Dell stops Matson once, maybe twice. Saratori in the corners. Pass off the mark intended for Ness. and comes all the way down into the Minnesota zone.
Territory, though, has done a nice job this weekend trying to create a physical presence on that fourth line. As a fourth liner, especially in this situation, not necessarily looking to score goals, but to create offense, create energy, bring energy to the rest of the team.
Dell gloves this and holds. We're nearing the halfway point of the third period. Does Minnesota have enough to claw their way back in? They trail by 2. Our Abra hit of the game. Once again, Kevin Weirs is on the short end. I'm not sure why he draws so much attention, and Malone seems to find him a couple of times every night.
Well, that's what you love to see if you're a coach for Brad Malone, is he brings the same effort every night. Some nights he'll get on the score sheet, most nights, in fact, sometimes he won't, but he'll always bring the physical presence, trying to create, and he's done that this weekend.
Trupp tried the center. He and Cephas collide in the corner. Alt picks it up. Hansen carries to center for Minnesota. Has to work around the outside of Genoway. Malone lost it to the right foot of Jacob Cephas. Frattin picks it up on the near side.
Although they haven't been good on it tonight, Minnesota needs to keep their feet moving, try to have draw penalty from North Dakota, try to get a one-man advantage somehow, try to build momentum any way you can.
Malone centering pass intercepted by Ness, but he bobbled the puck, then pokes it away from Genoway. Howla to the right side. Barabal works around his man, but lost the puck, and he winds up sliding into the post. So we're going to face off.
This is easy for me to say up here. Coaching, very, very hard job to do. But it'd be nice to see that Howla, Cephas line back together, and Barabal. I thought they were very good last night, very creative. I know Coach Lucia trying to keep a spark anyway. It wasn't the momentum here. Sometimes you got to change the lineups, but I thought that was an effective line last night. I also like Holfel and Bukestad together, two big bodies always going to the net.
Minnesota looking for at least the first to inject some life into the finish here tonight. And we will step aside. 9.5 to go. Minnesota down by 2. North Dakota leading by 2. The goaltender Aaron Dell hasn't been challenged a tremendous amount, but when he's had to step up, he's made big saves.
Well, Aaron Dell's had a great season so far. Well-positioned goalie, sees that play very well, and he's seen a lot of pucks tonight. Not a lot of bodies in front. Makes his night a lot easier. He's been one of the best goalies in the WCHA, seeming to be improving as the year has gone on. And he's going to be a big cog in the North Dakota Fighting Sioux lineup as the season progresses.
Fairchild, Sacchetti, Condon now behind the net. Condon watched by Nelson. Helgeson looking for a tip, fires wide. Sacchetti quickly there for Minnesota. He wheels and fires, but hit the side of the net. Cristo chips it out to center.
Pucks on net, pucks on net, pucks on net. Find a way to get the pucks on net and have people drive into the net.
North Dakota's been very efficient playing with this lead for the first half of this third period.
Well, and the concern you get into is just the strong defense that North Dakota has. LaPointe, McWilliam, Simpson, very solid defensive defensemen. They're a great defensive decor, and when they get the lead, they're going to be awfully tough to crack.
For all the headlines North Dakota usually gets with their offense, this is a good defensive team as well. They're number 2 in the WCHA in terms of fewest goals allowed per game. Frattin tried to center. Bukestad picks his pocket. Hansen back to Bukestad. Bukestad carries out through neutral ice. The big freshman hits the North Dakota line to Cephas in the slot. He was tied up by Blood. Barabal steps up to hold the zone and then fires one over the netting into row 36 here at Ingolstadt Arena. Armenard's game reset. Trupp has a goal and an assist for North Dakota. Markalt has the only Minnesota goal. And Genoway has now scored at least a point in 11 consecutive games. He had an assist last night, an assist tonight. We have yet to have a player with a multiple point game in this series. Last night, 15 different players on the score sheet, but all of them with just 1 point.
Well, Genoway is such a talented defenseman. Plays a lot of minutes. We talked about has a nice pairing with Blood. Works really well together. Such a smart player. He's a fifth-year senior. He's won the North Dakota Most Determined Player Award the last 3 seasons. He's just a very, very competitive kid. Gets nothing but praises from his coaches and brings it every night. He's just a kid that loves to compete.
Face-off back in the North Dakota zone. Genoway, the active points leader among WCHA defensemen. You see their numbers in conference games. They are tied with Minnesota Duluth. Overall, they are second alone at 2.38 goals against per game.
It's hard to add up wins when you're at 9th in the WCHA in goals against average. Minnesota has improved that the last 8 or 9 games or so. Some of it being in the Mariucci Classic, which is not going to count, of course, in WCHA. But that's an aspect of the game that has to improve for Minnesota to climb up the standings the second half of the season.
Baraball in the corner. Tried to trade spots with Howla. Gregoire back the other way for the Sioux. Forced outside, but then Ness fell. Gregoire retreats, plays it behind the net for Hextall. And the shot deflects into the netting. We'll get a face-off in a slow-paced third period after a slow-paced second period. Help Ken Herbeck, Terry Steinbach, Ron Gardenhire, Joe Vavra, and the Blackwoods Blizzard Tour in their fight against ALS. Text FIGHT ALS to 25383 on your mobile phone to donate $10. Fight ALS. Send it to 25383. Top of that, an anonymous donor has agreed to match every donation 2 for 1 for every text to donate pledge of $10. So that turns your $10 pledge into $30. Obviously a worthy cause. Penalty coming against Minnesota. This is going to make the comeback task even more difficult as Sacchetti goes for Minnesota with 6:27 to play.
Yeah, another stick infraction for Minnesota. Tripping minor. A little bit of a lazy stick there. You know, and before that penalty, just looking at both benches, North Dakota and Minnesota, every member of the Fighting Sioux was up on their feet, over the boards, ready to go. Almost getting ready to go after that next shift. Minnesota not so much the case here. 6:27. If you're Minnesota, you got to have that never give up attitude. Let's kill this penalty. You never know. Keep going forward. We're going to play to the end here. Not sure if we're going to win. We think we will, but at least let's battle as hard as we can. Make it difficult here on North Dakota.
Fighting Sioux 1 for 5 on the power play tonight. 3 for 11 in the series. Getaway. Sends Cristo into the zone with speed. Plays it to an open point. Nobody home for North Dakota, and it comes all the way back in their zone. Frattin back after it. Frattin spins away from Matson. Trupp.
Time and space, that's what North Dakota is looking for here, time and space. You give them time and space, they're going to create opportunities. Watch for Genoway again to walk the line. They like to set it up with him, try to overcommit somebody and look for a scoring opportunity.
Larson couldn't get it out on the backhand. Frattin in deep. Cristo. Tied up by Helgeson. Genoway at the far point.
Nick Larson did a nice job of coming out in the middle of the ice, forcing Genoway down towards the boards.
Frattin shatters his stick on a one-timer attempt.
Now they see that broken stick. They got to go active at him. It's a 4-on-4 right now.
Patterson with a save, rebound, score!
Well, that's where Minnesota's got to have some awareness. Where there's a broken stick, North Dakota going to the bench to get the new stick. Minnesota's got to realize that and get more aggressive on the 4-on-4. Danny Cristo, we haven't called his name much this weekend. A great player from Eden Prairie, Minnesota, one of the best on the North Dakota team. Standing in front of the net, beats Seth Helgeson. That's a good, hard-working goal for Danny Cristo. There's a player again that's going to be a catalyst for North Dakota the second half of the season. He's been points-wise just okay. He brings a lot to the table with his skill and speed, but has had a nice couple 5 or 6 games, and he was a big-time scorer for North Dakota last year as a freshman.
Cristo on the power play. It's 4-1 North Dakota.
You know, Anthony, I can't help just talking about these face-offs. They just have not been able to win the face-offs. North Dakota has out-battled them. I don't think North Dakota would even say this is one of their best games of the season. Certainly they had a lot of power plays early, but the score is now 4-1. Minnesota had a chance several times to get back in this hockey game and has never been able to make that big push.
It's just the 3rd goal of the year for Danny Cristo, who had 15 last year as a freshman.
Yeah, Danny Cristo last year had a slow first half for North Dakota and caught fire in the second half. And stats-wise this year, his stats haven't been where they were at the end of last year, but he does a lot of good things on the ice. And that was one of them. You know, you got to go where people don't want to go. That's the front of the net. That's a tough area. He gets knocked down, scores a big goal, 4th goal for North Dakota.
Bukestad throws it out front. Cephas going hard to the net. And we get a whistle. Looked like the net was about to come off. I don't believe it ever did, but we'll get a face-off in the North Dakota zone. 4:09 remaining, and North Dakota with a power play goal, now leading by 3.
A much different game tonight compared to last night, but as always, we'll take a look at it in Quest Gophers Live with the Toyota post-game wrap. The face-offs have been an issue all night. Casey Hankinson will look at that a little closer. Minnesota having some struggles on the draw, plus Kent Patterson again helping to keep Minnesota as close as the Golden Gophers have been, and reaction from Don Lucia after this finale tonight, guys.
Well, the viewers at home have to be sick of me talking about face-offs, and I do apologize, but it's a basic fundamental that is definitely a mentality and a focus that is really inexcusable at this level to be that poor in that department. And I promise that's the last I'll bring it up for the night.
I'm still waiting for you to say that you're going to go out and demonstrate the Mark Alt shot.
Well, and
We could throw Marnie in the net and see if he can fire over her shoulder.
Well, Marnie is definitely a legend here in North Dakota, and I was a little fearful with the governor there. I think she might, well, she's a good Gopher fan. I don't think she's secretly cheering for the Sioux. But we can confirm that later.
I think the governor's just happy that she's not running for office.
That's right.
McWilliam holds the zone.
Well, and the governor, the great state of North Dakota, one of the few economies that have been going forward and growing in this national economy, was the one that predicted 4-1. So he clearly is a good governor and a smart hockey fan.
He was studying his polling data ahead of time. Larson plays it out through neutral ice. 2.5 to go. And barring a miraculous comeback, it looks like a split in Grand Forks. And then you have to ask yourself, is that good enough for Minnesota? In the last 2 league weekends, they will now be 2-1-1 against North Dakota and Duluth, the top 2 teams in the league, each rated number 2 in the nation at the time of the series. But when you look at what's ahead for Minnesota, they can't afford split weekends. They need to gain some ground. The schedule doesn't get much easier. Anchorage, then it's at number 5 Duluth and home against number 6 Denver.
Well, and the answer is absolutely not. It's not good enough. They came out, they showed how they could play last night. The question is, why couldn't they play that way tonight? What they can control is their effort, and they did not bring their effort tonight. And Minnesota is an elite hockey program. these should be games that you expect to win. It's a tough environment in North Dakota, no question about it, but they should have the mentality that we're going to go up there and get 4 points away. So if the answer is you want to finish 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th in WCHA, then you're happy with it. If you want to be better than that, if you want to make the NCAA tournament, it's not acceptable.
Howla. Fairchild, tipped by Baraball into traffic. Lamoureux starts out for North Dakota. Rodwell takes a hit from Helgeson. Patterson holds this puck, and now Rodwell and Helgeson tangled up on the near boards. Lamoureux throws a jab at Hofel.
It's aggressive. It's a little too late. Now at the end of the game, you want to keep everybody available for next weekend. Just a hard hit by Helgeson. Some frustration on both. Both are very tough players. Both certainly want to go at it, and they wish they could go toe-to-toe. Under the rules of college hockey, of course you can. It's a one-game suspension.
Helgeson and Rodwell being escorted to the penalty box, and it looks like that might be it.
It's always interesting to see who the coaches put out at the next face-off. Sometimes that can dictate if there's more of the fisticuffs going on or if it's going to end. Likely North Dakota wants to take their 4-1 win. Very happy with their comeback. Coach Dave Hackstall, Coach Eves, Coach Jackson. They're going to go in tonight, talk about the pride in the sweater, pride in the Indian head. You guys came out, you battled. You didn't play as well as you wanted to on Friday night. But the answer is how you respond. Minnesota certainly will be happy with 2 points, but not how it happened. Minnesota needs to want more.
If you are just joining us, here's what you've missed. Mark Alt had his first collegiate goal on this shot. It gave Minnesota a 1-0 lead, but only 34 seconds later, Evan Trupp answered for North Dakota. Then it was Malone, Knight on a tip of a Hextall shot, and Pisto on the power play. All for North Dakota, 4 consecutive goals for the Fighting Sioux. And they lead the Gophers 4-1 with 1:28 remaining. Now we have 2 Fighting Sioux players in the penalty box, only 1 Gopher, and they've got...
Well, forgive me for this story, but we do have a little bit of time here at the end. But we're up at Grandview Lodge this summer, and my middle brother Ben, his boy, youngest boy, Jake Hankinson, we're in the arcade room, and nobody's got quarters because we came off the boat. Nobody can play any of the arcade games. So nobody knows what to do but look at the arcade games. Well, about 10 seconds later, Jake Hankinson's got his hand under the arcade game and pulls out 2 quarters. And Ben Hankinson turned to me and said, well, if you want to do anything or get anything done, you gotta want to go where people don't want to go. And that's watching those videos is where North Dakota wanted to go where Minnesota didn't. That's the front of the net to try to get those scoring opportunities. That's the difference in tonight's game. Going to the front of the net and winning the faceoff battle.
Another penalty coming here. The penalties were called against Rodwell, Lamoureux, and Helgeson at 18:32. The result was a Minnesota power play, which will now be 5-on-3 as Genoway takes a slash. Well, you never know, and if there's ever a time where coming from 3 down in 80 seconds is possible, 5-on-3 would certainly be a good place to start.
Never say never. Winston Churchill. You're not gonna, but not, what do you think?
I don't know how to follow up a Winston Churchill quote.
It would be tough. But you never know.
I think that's the first Winston Churchill quote we've talked about this season. Hopeful, waiting, fires, saved by Dell. Baraball on the rebound, that's stopped by Dell. North Dakota had a 5-on-3 goal earlier tonight. Schmidt a one-timer over the top of the goal. To the line, but not out.
Watch how North Dakota is a lot more compact than Minnesota was on the 5-on-3. When you get spread out like Minnesota was earlier when they were killing the penalty, it opens up seams. All 3 North Dakota players are tight in a box, in a triangle, excuse me, and it's tough to get in that triangle, keeping everybody to the outside.
Fairchild to Schmidt, long shot, glove save, Dell. Now I'm willing to say never with less than 30 seconds remaining.
Well, and we talked about it. If you look at all three North Dakota players, they're all in a triangle, all converging, all tight on the goalie. What happens is Minnesota's got to move the puck around and try to get a shot on net first and then come in for the rebound. When the players are spread apart, you can open up seams, backdoor passes, and that's what Genoway did on the Malone goal earlier on in the year, earlier on in the game, excuse me.
Cephas
There's a
goes
seam right
across
there.
to Bukestad, who fanned on it. Ness cannot hold the zone. North Dakota fans roaring as they are on the verge of a split. Five seconds left. Sacchetti stopped by Dell. The horn sounds. And Minnesota will have to be satisfied with 2 points at Ingolstadt Arena. 4-1 for the Fighting Sioux. And Marnie, the question to be asked throughout our postgame show is 2 points due to success in a hostile arena.
We'll find that out from Don Lucia a little bit later, Anthony. Physically, it was the same two teams on the ice, but this was a far different game tonight. We'll break this one down in Quest Gophers Live next.